Welcome back in another episode of developing an ERP application software using C# and Angular. We saw in the previous videos some examples about the chart of account and so on, and we presented this example. We have seen also some examples of voucher and so on. So in this video, we are going to start scripting SQL to create the related tables and to insert some transactions and generate our first trial balance. For those who don't have a SQL Server, you can download the SQL Server Express and software management, SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS, and start using them. For me, I have already installed them on Docker. I have Docker Desktop for Windows, and I have my container working already, the SQL Server, and I have the SSMS already installed. I installed the SQL Server using this command. So it's simply saying that run the container. So when the Docker desktop, when the Docker doesn't find the container, it's going to pull it automatically. Here I say I accept the license. Here I say the password, set it like this. It's just a dummy password. The mapping for the port 1433 to 1433, which is the mapping container port, which is the traditional and standard port for SQL, and is using the official SQL Server image from Microsoft. So I'm going to connect to my SQL Server using the SQL Server Management Studio using the password I provided, because I'm using the Docker desktop, so it is the server will be local host. I'm going to connect. Going to create our first database. Let's call our accounting. Let's call it simple ACK, the database. That should be possibly good name for training. Now we have the database already created. Going to create the chart of accounts table by new query. So here I'm saying create the table chart of accounts with the fields code, name, and type. The type could be assets, could be liabilities, could be equity, and so on. And the primary key is the code. By F5 or by run, I'm just going to create it, execute, or F5. So it's now created. So if I see my database, tables, and yes, I can see it. Now I'm going to seed the chart of accounts by this command. So here I can see that I'm inserting the code I'm inserting into the chart of accounts table the code, the name, and the type. And these are the values: code, name, type. Again, F5. Now, if I query this one, I should find it seeded. Exactly, it's seeded now. Now, the next step, I'm going to create the journal entries table, which is, oh, sorry, what's this? Okay. And this is how to create the journal entries table. Entry ID, the voucher ID, the date, the type, description, account code, debit, and credit. Here we can we can see that we have all the information needed, the date, the type, the description, the account name which is going to come by. We don't need it actually, we need the code because that will be relational, and the debit, credit, and so on. So let's create it. The table also created now. We refresh, we find it. Now we are going to insert our first example, which is cash received against sales of services. Here I say get the ID, use the ID to insert this double entry. So the double entry, the amount I received to the cash will be debit. So I'm debiting the debit amount is 500. I'm debiting and increasing the cash while I am crediting the revenue account, which is with 4 by 500. So this is increasing the cash and increasing the revenue as well. Syntax. Perfect. So second transaction, the description is purchase office supplies on credit. Another one, and the last one. So now if I say select start from this table, it's going to give me all these transactions which I inserted. This is the first voucher, voucher ID 1, voucher ID 2, and voucher ID 3, as you can see with the specific dates and descriptions. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to generate our first report, which is the trial balance. As you remember, trial balance actually is a report that's showing all accounts with the debit balance and credit balance. So here I'm going to run in, and I can see our trial balance. So this is how we implemented it in SQL. We are going to implement these queries also in C# and access our database and start our first repository pattern to build our first API for accounting. Thank you, and if you liked it and would like to keep posted about the next episodes of the software building process, please subscribe, hit the bell button,